So, Numbers chapter 32, the Reubenites and the Gadites, and half of Manasseh, decide to take land on the opposite side of the Jordan. Moses, thinking that they aren't going to go to the land of Israel and fight with Israel, says, "Shall your countrymen go to war while you sit here? Why do you discourage the Israelites from going over into the land the Lord has given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to look over the land after they went up to the valley of Eshcol and viewed the land. They discouraged the Israelites from entering the land the Lord had given them. The Lord's anger was aroused that day because he swore an oath, because they have not followed me wholeheartedly. Not one of the men 20 years old or more who came up out of Egypt will see the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not one except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they followed the Lord wholeheartedly. The Lord's anger burned against Israel and made them wander in the desert 40 years, until the whole generation of those who had done evil in his sight was gone. And here you are, a board of sinners, standing in the place of your fathers and making the Lord even more angry with Israel. If you turn away from following him, he will again leave all this people in the desert, and you will be the cause of their destruction." Wait, how is this discouraging Israel though, Moses? I guess having two tribes not go? Might be like, well, why did they go? It's because we want the land. What, are you scared? No. Then they responded by basically saying, "Oh, but we're planning on not going. Why did you assume that? But we are ready to arm ourselves and go ahead of the Israelites until we have brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our women and children will live in fortified cities for protection from the inhabitants of the land." Discuss the grades, basically. "We will not return to our homes until the Israelites have received their inheritance. We will not receive any inheritance with them on the other side of the Jordan, because our inheritance has come to us on the east side of the Jordan." Moses is like, "All right. But if you fail to do this, you will be sinning against the Lord, and you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Build cities for your women and children, and have pens for your flocks, but do what you have to promise," because now they made it promise. So yes, so they set the buildings. And then, basically, yeah, that's the story of that. Anyway, Numbers chapter 33 is just the stages of Israel's journey. A little helpful summary, because it's important to know these things. Not something you would have all these details in a book that's completely made up, but it's easier to believe that than actually do the hard research and stuff. It's easier to just believe that bunch of anti-Semitic Germans who just thought that the Jews couldn't write something this complicated Yeah, it's much easier to believe though. Did you know that when the Nazis were going through and destroying like all the academia and stuff, when they got to the New Testament study, they destroyed them. When they got to the Old Testament study, guys, they didn't destroy them. Someone asked, "What? Oh, are you going to take us out?" And like, no, you believe the exact same thing we do. They were literally told that. The exact same thing. Yeah. Weird. Because it's not based on evidence. If you just actually look and understand the ancient context, a lot of the supposed contradictions make perfect sense and aren't contradictions. These assumptions are just based on anti-Semitism. Anyway, then Numbers chapter 34 is the boundaries of Canaan. You know, all the boundaries like this to this. These are the names of the men who assigned to you their inheritance. Eleazar the priest, son of and Joshua the son of Nun, and appointed one leader from each tribe to help assign the land. Again, this you wouldn't have all these names in something completely made up. So desperate to just say it's made up because they have no arguments against God's existence. Yeah. Most modern day atheists realize that you could accept everything non-divinely said to happen in the Bible as happening. Everything. You could come up with a natural explanation for a lot of the miracles. But yet they don't do that. They just reject it outright. Maybe because they don't have any good arguments for why God doesn't exist. Yeah, then there's no arguments that God doesn't exist, then there's no arguments for his existence. Okay, what's the argument for your existence, not that you don't exist? Oh, wait. If you're standing in front of me, there's like none, but there's plenty of arguments that you do exist, so that's not logical. Anyway, see you next time for the cities of refuge. Some special little thing. Yes. See you then.